Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna do a UFC fight night, Machado Garry versus Prates for the I don't know how many time, because yeah, I did it a couple of times. Not gonna talk about why, so we're just gonna hop right into it and expect a little bit shorter of a video because yeah, I'm just a little bit fed up with this. Yeah, but we hop right into it and look at the fights. First fight of the night is going to be in the women's bantamweight division. Chelsea Chandler versus Jocelyn Edwards. I think they're both in a kind of similar position. They won a couple fight. No, they won not a couple. Yes, a couple, at least two, and lost a couple fights in the UFC. But I feel like if push comes to shove, Jocelyn Edwards tends to toughen up and bite down, while Chelsea Chandler can be, I wouldn't say, I don't want to say dominated, but controlled maybe a little bit in range and positions of the fight, and then she loses the decision oftentimes. And Jocelyn Edwards has lost the decisions too, but she seems to be, yeah, fighting it more. We move on. We will move on to the featherweight division. We have Timothy Kwamba versus Roberto Romero. In this fight, they both came from the regionals with a lot of momentum. And they both kind of lost it. The momentum to be like a top prospect. In my book, Kwamba even failed the UFC test. While Roberto Romero still has his shot. He still can recover from his debut loss. I think if you can take this fight and a couple more, then he proves that he's UFC material and he's going to stay for a longer time. Or maybe even come back to the prospect status in a couple of fights. Who knows? We move on. Women's strawweight division. We have Jacqueline Amorim versus Poliana Viana. I have to say, Poliana Viana's trend seems to be going down a little bit lately, while Jacqueline Amorim's is going up, straight up. Also, Poliana Viana has been submitted before, and Jacqueline Amorim is a submission artist with a lot of finishes by submission in her past. Yeah, I think Poliana Viana is getting submitted on Saturday. I'm not sure if I said about the previous fight. I'm thinking that Romero wins it by decision. Okay. I think Jacqueline Amorim is going to win this by submission, and we move on to the bantamweights. We have Malcolm Wellmaker versus Cameron Simon. Yes. Cameron Simon came with a lot of hype into the UFC, and it got firmly stopped by back-to-back losses. Now he has the opportunity to derail Malcolm Wellmaker's hype train, so to say. I think they're both very, very talented up-and-coming fighters. Both have a lot of potential. So this could become a very, very good and entertaining fight. I think this is the first fight of the night that I'm really kind of excited about. Because even if in his losses, I thought that Cameron Simon had potential. I think it's going to be a very close fight, and I'm leaning towards Malcolm Wellmaker by decision. Well, Wellmaker by decision is my prediction. We move on. We stay in the bantamweight division. We have Damon Blackshear making his quick turnaround, and he's now moving up. No, not moving up, but in the rankings against Alatang Haley. I think is, I'm not sure how he's is pronounced correctly. That's another tough fight to predict. But first I would like to talk about Devon Blackshear's quick turnaround, because I admire him for doing it. I think more fighters should do this. Why is my stream lagging again? Why is my stream lagging again? Is this one working? Looks like this one's working. Okay. So we just say, sorry Twitch, but not sorry. You failed me today. So we're gonna just keep on streaming on YouTube and hope for the best. Okay. He had a fight a couple weeks ago and he won that one dominantly. So he made a quick turnaround, and I applaud him for that. I think fighters should do that more often when you're in a good position with the UFC, and you have the opportunity to fight with a full camp, because you didn't take any damage in your fight and you have a full camp behind you. If you're able to make the weight again in a couple of weeks, you should do it, because you just get 2 for 1. And he's taking advantage. Now we talk about the fight. I think it's tough to predict, because Alatang Haile could outvolume Devon Blackshear. I can see that working out that way. And control the distance, maybe. But I think Devon Blackshear could also catch him with a strike or a submission. And I'm leaning towards Devon Blackshear. Just because he has already shown that his camp was very, very successful, and with a quick turnaround, I applaud him for it. So, yeah, let's see if he can get it done again. We move on. Featherweight division, we have Chris Gutierrez versus John Castaneda. Let me just check if any of my streams are still running, because this one seems to be working. All right, so we try. We try to keep on going. We have Chris Gutierrez versus John Castaneda in the featherweight division. Castaneda has lost to various fighters lately. Chris Gutierrez has only lost to top opposition, and also his leg kicks are lethal. So short and sweet, Chris Gutierrez by decision. We move on. Lightweight division, Evan Elder. I'm trying to get through the video, so yeah. I don't know what's wrong with my connection, but I can't seem to stream anymore. In the lightweight division, we have Evan Elder versus Ahmad Sohail's Hassansada. They're both very young in their UFC careers, and they both have lost to Salihov. But I think that Evan Elder has looked a lot better in that fight, and he has also proven that he can compete on UFC level. Hassansada has failed that before, and I think he's gonna fail it again. So, decision for Evan Elder, I think. We move on. Flyweight division, is it the last? Yeah, last fight of the prelims. We have Matt Schnell versus Jimmy Flick. I think that Matt Schnell is sadly chinnable, and he also tends to overextend in takedowns and in the grappling department, and gets caught by good submission fighters. Jimmy Flick, on the other hand, he can get chinned himself. He is a solid grappler, but he has been hurt before. But I'm leaning towards Jimmy Flick by submission, unless Matt Schnell cracks him with something very hard. Submission for Jimmy Flick. We move on to the main card. And the first fight of the main card is middleweight division. We have Ikram Aliskerov versus Andre Muniz. It's a tough fight for Andre Muniz, because his main path to victory is submission, I think. And looking at his history, it looks that way too. So he's fighting a Russian sambo fighter there, though. Those guys are chronically hard to submit. And the Russian smash style seems to be the kryptonite of every submission artist. So I'm thinking that if Andre Muniz does not catch Ikram Aliskerov on the feet, Aliskerov will get this done, and I'm thinking by TKO, probably early. We move on. Welterweight division. We have Randy Brown versus Nicolas Dalby. Yeah, Nicolas Dalby has a fight again. He had a big break. I don't think in front of this fight, but in front of his last fight. Let me check. Yeah. YouTube seems to be struggling. 1 second. Nicolas Dalby. He hasn't been that inactive. But he lost to Fakhdinov. Some would argue that he lost that fight. But I don't think, to me, Nicolas Dalby has proven that he is a decent welterweight, but not exceptional welterweight. And on the other hand, we have Randy Brown, who's proven the same, basically. So I think on paper, Dalby should be the favorite, but styles make fights. And Dalby is very susceptible to getting bullied by strong fighters, and Randy Brown is very strong. So I am leaning towards Randy Brown by decision. We move on. Back to the middleweight division, we have Michel Pereira versus Abus Magomedov. Let's see if any of my streams are still working, because I really hate it if I complete a video without... Yeah, there it is. Okay, I can still go. Michel Pereira versus Abus Magomedov. I think that Abus is the more technical fighter, but I think that Michel Pereira has ridiculous speed and power and also creativity. Fluffy Hernandez just gave us the blueprint on how to beat Michel Pereira, but I can't see Abus implementing the same game plan. I mean, trying to, but I don't think he can do that for 5 rounds, or for 3 rounds even. Especially not in 3 rounds, because Michel is an athlete and he's gonna pop up as long as he can. Pop back up to his feet and throw big. That's what he does. I think he's gonna catch Abus. And I think he's gonna get a TKO. TKO Michel Pereira is my prediction for that one. We move on. Featherweight division. Giga Chikadze has his return versus David Onama. Giga's momentum has been firmly stopped. While David Onama is at its peak, maybe it can go even higher if he beats Giga. We'll see. But I think that Giga Chikadze is way more technical and very, very tough. At least a lot more technical than anyone Onama has ever fought. I think that the look of an elite striker in front of him will puzzle Onama for at least a while. He might come back in the third, but it's going to be too late. I think Giga by decision, unless he catches him with something really hard, then he's going to get a TKO. But I'm leaning towards a decision for Giga Chikadze. What's that? Hair. Why am I losing hair? We move on. Co-main event of the evening, we have the good farewell fight for Anthony Lionheart-Smith in the light heavyweight division versus Zhang Ming Yang. Up and coming Chinese? I think he's Chinese, no? Yeah, he's Chinese. In his farewell, Anthony Smith gets a guy on an 11-fight win streak, who has so far looked great in the UFC. But I still think there's an alternate reality in which Lionheart weathers the early storm and gets the comeback win. But it's not this reality. I don't think it's going to go that way. Deep down, I feel like Zhang Mingyang is going to get another TKO victory. Maybe Anthony Smith is going to take it for a while, but it hurts. It kind of sucks to say this, but I see Anthony Smith at the end of this fight in a turtle position and Zhang Mingyang raining down punishment. That's it, I think, how this fight's going to end. We move on. Main event of the evening. We have, in the welterweight division, we have Ian Machado Garry versus Carlos Prates. Let me just check if my YouTube's somewhat... Yeah, it looks not too bad. Okay, we keep on going then. So, Ian Machado Garry versus Carlos Prates. First up, I want to talk about Ian Garry here. He has stated that Carlos Prates is not a real fighter because he did quit before once. To that, I will say, in your last fight, Ian Machado Garry, you tried to stay as safe as possible while you were losing. You knew that you were losing, and you did not try to win, except for the last round when you took him down and, you know, won the round. You could have, maybe you could have won that fight. Maybe you would have been knocked out trying to. Maybe you would have been submitted trying to. But you did not try not to lose that fight. So is that a real fighter? I'm not sure. I'm not a real fighter either. So, yeah. I'm just saying. You look like you just didn't want to get finished yourself in that fight. And that's why you played it safe. And yeah. And Carlos Prates had a moment in his career where his body couldn't take any more. Seen it before. Seen it with tough guys who for sure are real fighters. So we'll see. For this fight, I believe that Machado Garry is too technical standing up and that he will control the range of the fight and in turn frustrate Carlos Prates. Even if Carlos Prates hurts Ian Machado Garry, I think he's going to shoot and play it safe on the ground. I don't see a good way for Carlos Prates to win this fight unless Ian Machado Garry has more of a chin than he has shown so far. And Prates finds that sweet shot. I think Machado Garry is going to play it safe again. And he's going to win a decision. Probably like 49-46s. Or maybe even... No. It's not going to be 49-46s. Unless Prates hurts him in that one round he supposedly wins. If he does not hurt Machado Garry in a round, I think it's going to be 50-45s. Because that's just what he does. He just nullifies opponents and makes it a kind of boring fight. I'm sorry. It does. It does make it boring oftentimes. But I think he's going to take it. So I'm leaning towards Ian Machado Garry by decision. And that's my final pick. And we move on to the overview. Let me just quickly remove my face from the middle of the picture. So I think Justin Edwards is going to take a decision over Chelsea Chandler. I think that Roberto Romero also is going to take a decision over Timothy Kwamba. Jacqueline Amorim is going to submit Polyana Viana. Malcolm Wellmaker is going to get a decision over Cameron Simon. Damon Blackshear is going to get a back-to-back submission over Alatang Haile. Chris Gutierrez is going to get another decision over John Castaneda. Evan Elder is going to get a decision over Ahmad Sohail Hassansada. Jimmy Flick is going to submit Matt Schnell. Ikram Aliskerov is going to TKO Andre Muniz. Randy Brown is going to win against Nicolas Dalby by decision. Michel Pereira by TKO over Abus Magomedov. Giga Chihatse by decision over David Onama. Zhang Mingyang by TKO over Anthony Smith, not Dennis Smith. And Ian Machado Garry in the main event of the evening is going to take a decision over Carlos Prates. Those are my picks. Let me just quickly tell you which fights I'm looking forward to. I'd like to see actually Jacqueline Amorim, see if she is worth the hype and if she can bring some well-needed fresh wind into the women's MMA scene. I'm excited for the Wellmaker Simon fight. Damon Blackshear and his back-to-back. I'm gonna like that.